I suspect for most of you, there's not a chance you'd be able to identify the gender of the person who's sitting next to you, unless you know them. It's like you just don't remember anything. And why should you? Everything works. Like, you don't have to pay attention to it. And this is what behavior therapists do. They decompose your problems. What are you afraid of? Well, okay, you're afraid of everything. Well, let's get something specific you're afraid of. Well, I'm afraid of an elevator. Okay, an elevator. So I have a client, she's afraid of elevators. The elevator door opens, she goes, "That's a tomb." And I thought, oh, wow, I thought it was an elevator. But for you, it's not a bloody elevator, it's death. And so that's what you're afraid of. It's worse than that. You're afraid of being trapped inside there in the dark, alone, not knowing if anyone is going to rescue you, stuck there with your damn imagination, freaking out. It's like, and if that's not, and then maybe you have a heart attack because you're so terrified and you die. That's the elevator. Well, it's no bloody wonder that no one's going to get into something like that. And then maybe underneath that is your distrust in the mechanisms of society, right? Because, you know, a normal person, those weird creatures, they'll get an elevator, what the hell, they don't care. And partly it's because they have an implicit belief, even if the thing stops, somebody will come along and rescue them. And usually you don't even think about it, right? It's like, oh, what the hell, it's an elevator. It's like, the danger is invisible to you.
What are you afraid of? Be specific. Take an elevator, for example. It's not the machine you are afraid of. It's being trapped in there and dying alone with your own thoughts. No wonder you are afraid. Jordan Peterson believes that women are doing better in life because they are more agreeable than men. What do you want out of life? Once you know this, you will work towards that goal. Success in business comes from orienting yourself in life. Peterson insists that you should make a plan and achieve it.
Majority of men who aren't doing very well. So for example, at Mohawk College, the future authoring program had a particularly robust effect on Mohawk College students who were men who hadn't done very well in high school and who hadn't picked a major that had a destination, a career destination at its end. So you can imagine those people they have an ambiguous relationship with the idea of education, and they're not oriented specifically towards a goal. They're not very motivated. Now, why did it have a differential effect on men? That's a good question. Well, first of all, the women are doing better. So it might just be a matter of the fact that it does better for people who aren't doing as well, and at the moment, most of them are men. I think that might be part of it, but I don't believe that's all of it. I think that part of the reason that women are doing better is because they're agreeable. And so if a system sets out a structure and says, here's a pathway to attainment, the women won't rebel against that, they'll go along with it. And that's working very well for them at the moment. The men, especially the men on the disagreeable end of the distribution, and there's way more men on the disagreeable end of the distribution than there are women. You know, these words that are bandied about like vision and leadership, you can drill down into them very hard and start to make some sense out of them if you're willing to grapple with them at the level of detail. And I do a lot of that in this book because a lot of it is about orienting yourself in your life. And I mean, so here's something, for example. We know that, imagine that you have your employees write out a business plan for their own development, right? So the plan would be, how can I become a better employee? And then you have half your employees do that, and the other half you have write out a different plan, which is, how can I put my life together properly? And then you wait a year and you measure the performance of the two groups. Is the people who make the life plan outperform the people who make the business plan? And so, and that's really quite a stunning finding, really. It's not what you'd expect, and what it means is that if you're going to be effective at work, then you should first of all be effective in your life. And even more importantly, if you have a vision for the direction of your life and your job is serving that purpose, then instantly your job becomes motivating. Because you might be sitting there and thinking, well, why am I doing this repetitive and rather dull task? It's a big problem here. The problem is, it's true. Maybe you're too short, or you're not as beautiful as you could be, or you know, your grandparent was a serf, likely, because almost everybody's great-grandparent was. It's like, you know, and you're not as smart as you could be, and you have a sick relative, and you have your own physical problems, and it's like, frankly, you're a mess. And you're oppressed in every possible way, including your ancestry and your biology, and the entire sum of human history has conspired to produce victimized you with all your individual pathological problems. It's like, yes, true. Okay, but the problem is that it is true. And so if you take the oppressed, you have to fractionate them. It's like, and we'll take every single thing into account, and then we'll fix yours too. We'll take every single thing into account. It's like, no, you won't, because you can't. It is technically impossible. First of all, you can't even list all the ways that you're oppressed. Second, how are you going to weight them? Third, who's going to decide? And that's the bloody thing. Who's going to decide? That's the thing. Well, what's the answer in the West? It's like in free markets, oh yeah, Christ, we'll never be able to solve this problem. No one can solve it. What are we going to do about that? We're going to outsource it to the marketplace. You're going to take your sorry, pathetic being and you're going to try to offer me something that maybe I want.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more content.